Aloha Yellow 6 students. Today in Language Arts, we're going to first correct our character trait homework assignment that you had to complete. If you could take out your slide and we will go over it now. Okay, so on the slide on character trait number 1, Samson was so lazy that he spent every day watching TV even when he had chores to attend to. That is a negative character trait. Number 2, above all else, Timmy was loyal. Once he was your friend, he was your friend forever. That is a positive character trait. Number 3, Uncle Bob was a resourceful man who could build a table from sticks he found in the forest or cook a gourmet meal using whatever he found in the freezer. That is an example of a positive character trait. Okay, number 4, John also complained that his brother was unimaginative and seldom had an original idea. That is a negative character trait. Number 5, Carla was so jealous that she became angry whenever a friend of hers spent time with anyone else. That is an example of a negative character trait. Number 6, Emily was often cold to people she did not know and would not make conversation. That is an example of a negative character trait. Okay, number 7, because she was adaptable, Margie was seldom upset when plans changed or things didn't go as she expected. That is an example of a positive character trait. Number 8, unreasonably suspicious, Frida's older brother often tried to listen in on her conversations over the phone. That is an example of a negative character trait. Number 9, because he was known to be responsible, William was often given leadership positions in his scout troop. That is an example of a positive character trait. And number 10, knowing that his Aunt Alicia was short-tempered, Rob put off telling her he would not be able to mow her grass this week. That is a negative character trait. Okay, on the next slide, you had to go ahead and say whether it's a physical or character. So number 11, the clever little boy built a tower from playing cards and paper towel tubes. That is an example of a character trait. Okay. Number 12, Sammy was weak from hunger and fatigue. That should be physical. 13, the funny teacher seemed to have a joke for every occasion. That is character. 14, Lawrence had a crooked nose and a long bony finger. Physical. 15, the bulky woman lumbered awkwardly down the aisle of the bus. Physical. Okay, 16, because he was lonely, Warner was often sad. That is a character. 17, the greedy boys and girls grabbed at the candy and stuffed it in their mouth. That is character. Okay, 18, Margaret's long blonde hair shone in the sun. That is a physical trait. 19, Paul was well liked for his friendly personality and calm demeanor. That is character. And 20, she was tiny, even for a girl her age, and her hands seemed lost in the gloves she wore. That is a physical trait. Okay? Now, if you had any of the answers wrong, I hope you made the necessary corrections. Okay? Now, what we're going to do is we are going to be reading a fiction book entitled The True Story of the Three Little Pigs. Okay, and we'll have this on a link for you in Google Classroom so that way you can refer back to it. Okay, so we're going to be reading this story together. The true story of the Three Little Pigs. Everybody knows the story of the Three Little Pigs, or at least they think they do. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Nobody knows the real story because nobody has ever heard my side of the story. I'm the wolf, Alexander T. Wolf. You can call me Al. I don't know how this whole big bad wolf thing got started, but it's all wrong. Maybe it's because of our diet. Hey, it's not my fault wolves eat cute little animals like bunnies and sheep and pigs. That's just the way we are. If cheeseburgers were cute, folks would probably think you were big and bad too. But like I was saying, the whole big bad wolf thing is all wrong. The real story is about a sneeze and a cup of sugar. Okay, this is the real story. Way back in Once Upon a Time, I was making a birthday cake for my dear old granny. I had a terrible sneezing cold. I ran out of sugar. So I walked down the street to ask my neighbor for a cup of sugar. Now this neighbor was a pig, and he wasn't too bright either. He had built his whole house out of straw. Can you believe it? I mean, who in his right mind would build a house of straw? So, of course, the minute I knocked on the door, it fell right in. I didn't want to just walk into someone else's house, so I called, little pig, are you in?" No answer. I was just about to go home without the cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. That's when my nose started to itch. I felt a sneeze coming on. Well, I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed the great sneeze. And you know what? That whole darn straw house fell down, and right in the middle of the pile of the straw was the first little pig, dead as a doornail. He had been home the whole time. It seemed like a shame to leave a perfectly good ham dinner lying there in the straw, so I ate it up. Think of it as a big cheeseburger just lying there. I was feeling a little better, but I still didn't have my cup of sugar, so I went to the next neighbor's house. This neighbor was the first little pig's brother. He was a little smarter, but not much. He had built his house out of sticks. I rang the bell in the sticks house. Nobody answered. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in?" He yelled back, "Go away, wolf. You can't come in. I'm shaving the hairs on my chinny chin. I had just grabbed the doorknob when I felt another sneeze coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I tried to cover my mouth, but I sneezed a great sneeze. And you're not going to believe it, but this guy's house fell down just like his brother's. When the dust cleared, there was a second little pig, dead as a doornail. Wolf's honor. Now, you know food will spoil if you just leave it out in the open. So I did the only thing there was to do. I had dinner again. Think of it as a second helping. I was getting awfully full, but my cold was feeling a little better. And I still didn't have that cup of sugar for my dear old granny's birthday cake. So I went to the next house. This guy was the first and second little pig's brother. He must have been the brains of the family. He had built his house of bricks. I knocked on the brick house, no answer. I called, Mr. Pig, are you in?" And do you know what the rude little porker answered? "Get out of here, wolf. Don't bother me again." Talk about impolite. He probably had a whole sack full of sugar, and he wouldn't give me even one little cup. For my dear, sweet old granny's birthday cake. What a pig. I was just about to go home and maybe make a nice birthday cake instead of a cake when I felt my cold coming on. I huffed and I snuffed and I sneezed once again. Then the third little pig yelled, "And your old granny can sit on a pin." Now, I'm usually a pretty calm fellow, but when somebody talks about my granny like that, I go a little crazy. When the cops drove up, of course I was trying to break down this pig's door, and the whole time I was huffing and puffing and sneezing and making a real scene. The news reporters found out about the two pigs I had for dinner. They figure a sick guy going to borrow a cup of sugar didn't sound very exciting. So they jazzed up the story with all that huff and puff and blow your house down. And they made me the big bad wolf. That's it. That's the real story. I was framed. But maybe you could loan me a cup of sugar. Okay, so this concludes the story of the true story of the three little pigs. Now, you can refer back to this story when you need to go ahead and answer this worksheet on the story of the three little pigs. So on this worksheet, it says the true story of the three little pigs. I want you to read that story once again, the true story of the three little pigs, and look for examples of indirect characterization and list them below. So looking at the character Alexander T. Wolf, what are his thoughts? Okay, so jot down, referring to the story, what were some of the thoughts that Alexander T. Wolf had? Like he mentioned about the first little pig not being too bright, because how his house was made out of straws. And then the next part is, and list as much you can in the bullets. The next category, it says, what character traits are revealed through his thoughts? So based on what Alexander T. Wolf thought, okay, what character trait is he displaying? And then what is Alexander T. Wolf's choices? What were the choices he made? Okay, in the story, like what choice did he make? Okay, and what does the character trait reveal through the choices he made? Then take a look at the words. Like what words did he say? Like little pig, may I come in? You know, write down the words that he had said. Okay, and that is your assignment for today. Now, once you complete this assignment, you can get started on your homework assignment. Your homework assignment is going to be on the springboard on slides 14, 15, and I believe that's it. 14, 15, 14 and 15. Okay, so what you're going to do is you are going to match the statements below with the character clues they represent. And you may use the clues more than once. So you're going to use thoughts, choices, words, actions, or feelings. So take a look at the first. Okay, like Tim was worried about his math grade. What does this represent? Tim was worried about his math grade. What would be your best answer? Is this character reflecting his thoughts, his choices, his words, his actions, or his feelings? And then you're going to type in your correct answer in this purple box. Okay, so you have on slide 14, 1 through 10. And then on slide 13, okay, this one is a little different. What you're going to do is you're going to mark the statements below with the character clues that they represent. And you may use the clues more than once. And so the clues are going to be the same, like For example, A, Robert is cruel, Robert is kind, Robert is thoughtful, Robert is sarcastic. Okay, so let's read it. Robert hid the remote control from his brother so he couldn't watch his favorite show. Okay, is it Robert is cruel? A. B. Robert is kind. C. Robert is thoughtful. Or D. Robert is sarcastic. Okay, if he hid it from his brother so that his brother couldn't watch it, I would think that is cruel. So you would write down or type in the letter A. Okay, you type in the letter A if that is your correct answer. Then go on to the next. Lisa thanked the waitress for bringing her a soda. Okay, now A, Lisa is curious. B, Lisa is caring. C, Lisa is courteous. Or D, Lisa is earnest. Again, type in the correct letter of your best answer choice. Okay, and this is what you are going to complete for homework. You will do it after you complete the true story of the three little pigs. Now, if you have any questions, please go ahead and see your language arts teacher during the office hours. All right? Okay, good luck and get started. Aloha.